What is going on, you guys? It is David from davidsgiantvegetables.com, and today we're going to talk all about composting, hence the title Composting 101. We're going to talk about the benefits of composting, starting your own compost bin, what to put in it / what not to put in it, and just how to care for your compost pile so you can create the best compost you possibly can at home. Alright, so let's talk about the benefits of composting first. Compost is one of the best things you can add to your garden. It's packed with beneficial bacteria and fungi that all help to break down the organic material into a substance called humus. This is basically a soil packed with nutrients and microbes. It's very, very great for the plants in your soil. The organic material is also great at retaining moisture and fighting off plant diseases. Another benefit of composting is it's great for the environment because it reduces the waste delivered to landfills. Now, this organic material does break down in landfills, however, it takes a lot longer versus if you were to just compost the organic material. Compost also saves you money because it reduces the need for fertilizers, because compost is just filled with nutrients and bacteria, as I stated before, so therefore you really don't need to rely as much on fertilizer to help your plants grow. And one other benefit I've noticed with compost is it's actually encouraged me to eat healthier because I'm trying to fill up my composting bin with organic materials. So as you can see, a lot of benefits of composting. Alright, so the first step to composting is starting your own compost bin. Now, you technically don't need a compost bin, however, I recommend getting one for two reasons. Number one, having a bin keeps your compost all tucked away, nice and neat. And if you were to just have it out in the open without having a bin, it would just get everywhere and it becomes a bit of an eyesore. Another benefit of compost bin is that it also helps prevent the bugs and rodents from getting to your organic materials. Because if you just leave it out in the open, they might be inclined to just go in there and nibble away at the organic materials. So with that being said, we're going to take a look at some of the common types of bins that many people use for composting. So starting off, we have the Basic Compost bin. It's pretty much just a regular old bin, usually made out of plastic or metal, and you put your kitchen scraps and organic material in there. Just wait for it to break down in the compost. They come in different shapes and sizes depending on how much you need, and they work just fine. They do their job. However, they don't make compost quite as fast as the other composting bins I'm going to be discussing later in the video. So on the plus side, however, they are usually the cheapest. And so when you're looking for a compost bin like this, you want to make sure there's gaps and holes in it, like the one you see in the picture. That way oxygen can go through and help break down the compost, while at the same time it's still structurally stable, able to keep the compost and organic materials together. And so this one in the picture is a great example of a great composting bin that I found that's in this category. So like I said, it's got gaps in here to let the oxygen through. It's made out of recycled plastic and actually holds up to 110 gallons of organic material. And the top of the bin opens up for an easy deposit of organic material. And also at the bottom, if you can see, there's a sliding door that allows you to take out the compost pretty easily once it's finished. So overall, great composting bin. I would recommend it. Link to this one and also all the other composting bins I'm going to be discussing will be down in the description below. Next up, we've got the Compost Tumbler. Now, the main feature of these compost tumblers is the chambers that you put the organic material in. They actually rotate on an axle, and what this does is when you spin the axle, it rotates the chambers, and it pretty much just breaks up the organic materials inside the chambers. And so therefore, you're going to create compost much faster with these tumblers versus the basic bin, where you just have to get in there with a pitchfork or a shovel and just turn it every once in a while. So this pretty much just makes the process of stirring and mixing up the compost a lot easier, and then it helps break the organic material down quicker. So this compost tumbler in the picture, it's actually made by Miracle-Gro, and it's got two chambers. Each holds 27.7 gallons each, giving it a total capacity of 55.4 gallons. And the base of this thing is extremely sturdy. It's made from high quality plastic, so you can guarantee this composting tumbler is going to be able to create compost for years to come. And now one main flaw I've heard with compost tumblers is they usually come with a hand crank that you use to rotate the chambers, and a lot of times I've heard people complain that these handles break off really easily. Well, this compost tumbler, you don't have to worry about that. You just simply rotate the chambers. There's no hand crank at all. So it's pretty much really easy to just break up the compost, and overall I'd recommend this. So like I said before, a link to this one to purchase will be down in the description below. Alright, up next we got the heavy duty composters. These are typically the most expensive out in the market, but they also are the best ones. They usually have insulated walls, which is great because it keeps the compost nice and warm even throughout the winter. And that's great because, a warm environment is great for compost. It helps for faster decomposition. And because of this, these composters can create a high quality compost in actually a pretty short time. Some of these heavy-duty composters can create compost in as little as 30 days. And the one shown in the picture, this is the Jora Composter Tumbler JK270, and this is a prime example of a heavy-duty composter. It's coated with galvanized sheet metal, and so this composter is not only extremely sturdy, but it's actually also rust-proof. And it's got dual chambers that can hold a total capacity of 70 gallons of organic material. Other features include an insulated interior. Like I said before, this helps decomposition of the organic material faster. And it's also got holes on each side of the composting bin. And this is great because it allows oxygen to get through to help break down those materials. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The only flaw I can think of with this thing is it's pretty expensive. I think it's around $569, but as I said before, it is a great composter, and link to this will be down in the description below to purchase. And now, last but not least, we have the DIY compost bin. Now, this is for people who want to save money and just want to construct a compost bin of their own. Most homemade compost bins are made of wooden pallets. However, it can pretty much just be made out of anything you want, just anything that can help keep the compost piled up all in one place. So yeah, most people make them out of wooden pallets, which is great because it allows the gaps in the pallet allow oxygen to go through while still keeping the compost together, just like the bin I discussed before. Just when you're creating a compost bin out of wooden pallets, just make sure you check the pallet stamp, and you want to look for the letters HT. This tells you it's been heat treated, and you also want to refrain from seeing the letters MB on the pallet stamp. This represents a toxic chemical called methyl bromine, and you do not want to have your compost contaminated with this. So let's make sure HT and no MB. So once you have your compost vessel picked out, it's time to start filling it up. Most any organic materials can be composted, but there are some things you should avoid adding in order to create a successful organic compost, and also to prevent rodents and pests from being attracted to the bin. Alright, so here's a list of some common household items that can be thrown into your compost bin. Feel free to pause the video now. And here's a list of common household items that you should avoid adding to your compost bin. Again, feel free to pause the video. Now, there are some materials that fall into the gray area of what can be composted and what can't be composted. The main reason these items fall into this category is because they technically can be composted, however, they just take significantly longer to break down into compost compared to other organic materials. It's up to you whether you want to add these into your compost bin or not, but just know they take a lot longer to compost. And here's a list of some common items that fall into this gray zone. Now it's time to talk about greens and browns. The items that can be composted fall into two different categories, greens and browns. Browns are items that are high in carbon or carbohydrates. These items include leaves, sawdust, hay, twigs, and shredded paper. Browns act as a food source for microorganisms within the organic matter. Greens, on the other hand, are items that contain nitrogen. This is what heats up the compost pile and helps it decompose faster. Greens include banana peels, apple cores, grass clippings, eggshells, and various other fruit and vegetable scraps. With an ample supply of greens in your compost pile, the microorganisms will be able to multiply and therefore break down materials into organic compost at a much faster rate. In order to create a high-quality compost for your garden, try and maintain a balance of 25% green material to 75% brown material. However, don't worry too much about trying to maintain this exact ratio of materials. It's only a recommendation, and it's just a general rule to follow. Alrighty, so you have your compost bin, you have your organic materials. Now we're going to talk about caring for your compost. Now, the two main things you got to do when caring for your compost is, number one, stir it and mix it up every once in a while, and two, water every once in a while. As for storing it up, all you gotta do is just get a shovel or pitchfork and just turn it, mix it every once in a while. This is made easy with tumblers. However, all you have to do is just rotate the chambers, and it just mixes and turns the compost right there. It's pretty easy. So, as for watering it, you want to keep your compost moist, not sopping wet, but not bone dry. So, if it's if it just gets too dry, if it hasn't rained in a while, I would go out there and just water down your compost a bit. So. That's pretty much all you gotta do, and the only other ingredient is time, so just wait a little bit and pretty soon you'll get organic compost. Alright, so this is where the video ends. Now, if you want to learn more about composting, check out my blog post on davidsgiantvegetables.com. I cover a few more things that I didn't cover in this video, so be sure to check that out. Other than that, that pretty much is it. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. Also, be sure to subscribe. It lets me know you guys enjoy what I'm doing. And this has been David from David's Giant Vegetables, and I'll see you guys on the next video.